Hello and welcome. This is Gunjo Carl. Today we're going to be flying a space plane to Laythe. Wait a minute, you might say, isn't that going to be hard? Well, normally yes, but today we're actually learning how to fly a space plane, and that's especially a good thing given this space plane. You can see there's air intakes in the front and engines in the back, and everything in between is whew, what a mess. But that's part of the fun. We're here to learn. So how's this all going to work? Well, a big part about learning how to use space planes is learning how to get into suborbit, even. And that's kind of, dull. So we were giving ourselves a nice big target to aim at. Our objective today is going to be to fly up to Laythe and, fly around a little bit, land on it even. Let's give it a try. I love this thing. Anyways, so how did we get Laythe into orbit around Kerbin? Well, that's actually pretty simple. We're using a program here called HyperEdit. Now, HyperEdit gives you the ability to change orbits of things like Laythe pretty simply. And I'll give the values for that later. This thing won't get off the runway on its own. Gotta use jump jets to start. Oof. It's also not much of maneuvering. I figured the gigantic Navi-like wings on the back would help a little bit, but not so much. There we go. Alright, let's go. So there's a lot of precepts involved in figuring out how to make a space plane fly. Like, how do you make it stable? How much air is enough? Where do you put the wings? What kind of engines do you use? All this stuff. And it takes a lot of effort to learn. So even though this challenge is relatively simple, it basically amounts to get up into a suborbit. It's still challenging enough, I think, to be interesting for a lot of people. Now, for the big spaceplane people out there, of course, that won't be too big of a challenge. One of the big things I found was, hey, look at this. The angle that we climb at is actually really important. If you go too low, things will try to explode. If you go too high, you don't get enough air. Lots of fun little things to find out. And having Laythe up here gives us a great excuse to do that. Ooh, we made it. And I forgot to bring in my landing gear. Why don't you guys come in now? Stay true, stay true. Alright, so you might notice that Laythe is pretty darn close here, and as we lift up our apoapsis, there it is. All we really need to do if we line things up right is get our apoapsis up above 85,000. That's pretty darn easy. But in this case, because I didn't exactly aim very well, we had to go a little bit higher. Looking good. You'll notice, very important, I got the shiny lights on here. All right, we're just about to head into Laythe space, and when we do, the camera's going to go patonk. I love it. Hey, this is pretty. Anyways, so I made an additional challenge for those who need it, and that is to make a Russian Doll style space plane. That is to say that, your space plane a little bit like what the Skylon plans to be, if you're familiar with the British project, where it takes up, gets, more or less into orbit, and throws off a payload from there. Not much for stability here, am I? Now this payload will make its way on out to Laythe, and once it's made its way to Laythe, it can come on back to Kerbin. Now the payload itself carries another payload, and inside that other payload is another payload, and so on and so forth. So you've got space planes within space planes flying back and forth. Now what's kind of cool about that is it gives you a nice excuse to build lots of different sizes of space planes. Normally you build a small one that has a really small payload, or you build a big one with a big payload, and that's all fine and dandy. But this is kind of cool because you get to build all kinds of different sizes and hook them together. The only big rule to that is that each space plane can't be using its engines before it's time. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, we're going quick. I better throttle down. Woo! Didn't say we have to land in one piece, but uh-oh. Oh good, we do still have some parachutes on board. Did I mention I'm still learning these things? Um, is there anything else to say? No, that's really it. So you could watch me slowly go down to the planet, or you can load up some HyperEdit, follow the links in the description, and try this yourself. I hope you have a good time hearing the explosions, and I look forward to seeing you in the forums. Bye bye.